really looking forward to hearing what Wendi has to say on this. I've been reviewing the First Move website. It's pretty cool. I'm going to let Walt introduce her, but I'm excited about this one. I'm going to leave all my debris up here if you don't mind, as long as it doesn't get in the way. And I need to have you make sure everybody sees your USB drive, flash drive. It's the coolest flash drive I have ever seen. Go ahead, Walt.
Okay. Well, folks, for those of you who don't know, I am the 1972 Northwest Junior Chess Champion, and past captain of my high school and UW chess team. Back when Bobby Fischer was world champion. Our guest today is Wendi Fischer, no relation.
No.
Sorry.
Everyone asks.
What's that?
Everyone asks that.
Oh, okay.
It's a valid
I'm sure.
question.
Well, a lot of people don't know who Bobby Fischer was. Who doesn't know who Bobby Fischer was? Oh, he was world champion of chess back in '72, and he beat the Russian.
Boris Spassky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wendi is the executive director of America's Foundation for Chess, a nonprofit based in Bellevue. Wendi spent 6 years as a classroom teacher and did educational television production for 6 years before moving into the chess world. She is considered an expert on chess and education. Plus, she's a fellow Rotarian. Wendi Fischer.
So my USB drive is plugged in, so I can't actually show you all right now, but
Could you
I
hold on
will.
with us and get a presentation up? Thank you.
And does it have a clicker? Or is it
Well, what we
manual?
use is this. We'll just give you that one.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here today. Driving out here, this is why I live in the Pacific Northwest. It is so beautiful. And my husband loves to tell people that I have never lived more than 15 miles from the hospital I was born in, which is a fact, but I'm not quite as sheltered as that makes me sound. I was born at Overlake Hospital in Bellevue. Thank you. Okay, right there. Perfect. Okay. And so I have not lived more than 15 miles from there, but I have been fortunate to travel the world. I've been to 71 different countries, and that's truly my passion is travel. And if I could do that and make a living at it, I probably would. But having a family and kids in school and needing to pay bills, I have to do something a little bit more practical. So education is my probably next biggest passion. As Walt said, I was a classroom teacher for 6 years. I love education. I believe it is one of the most important things that we can do. And so I'm still in that field, even though I have changed a little bit of what I've done. When it comes to education, there are fads and trends and programs and ideas that come and go. But the one thing that is the same and is consistent is that we are training and educating our future. The kids now are going to be the doctors and engineers and teachers and secretaries and librarians and Rotarians and the entrepreneurs who are creating new things, as well as the people who just keep everything that's already going. And so education is really important. So we need to think about what we're doing with these kids and invest in them, because they are our future. Everyone says it all the time, but it's true, it really is. So if you look at, okay, here's a nice little third grade class. And if you look at these kids, then you could probably note, first of all, some differences. So, okay, yeah, there's some boys and girls, there's mixed ethnicities, some kids with glasses. But the one thing that you really don't see in a photo is what makes them the same. And that is, kids are born to learn and are excited about learning. It's only through our education system that we squash that. So we stick kids in a classroom for 6 hours a day and have them sit in their seats, and the teacher has a prescribed agenda of things that they're supposed to make sure that they get out and teach the kids, for the purpose of, at the end of the year, the kids taking a test so that they can regurgitate and know all the facts and figures and formulas to prove that they did it that year. Unfortunately, that's the way our education system has worked for many, 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 many years. And at some point, maybe it was a good system, but really now, that's not what we need to do. We don't need to just have our kids sit there and memorize facts and figures. We need kids that know how to think, because thinking is what you have to do when you get older. And so we need to build a foundation of thinking skills while kids are still young. And thinking is kind of an interesting topic. You know, a lot of what we do in school is provide information. But if you want to know anything now, the world is very different. We have a phenomenal tool called the internet. And if I've heard that Hannibal took war elephants into Rome, I can just search that. I type it in, right? And sure enough, what pops up? Yep, Hannibal took elephants to Italy, and the Punic War is in the 260s BCE, before the Common Era. And there's a lovely photo. I don't think that was an actual photo taken then. But nonetheless, and let me tell you, there is all sorts of information I can read about that. Okay? What if I want to know the, how do I find the radius of a circle? Type that in, the area of a circle. Area of a circle, boom, pops up. It's pi r squared. I don't even know what pi means or r squared means, but look, it's there. And all I have to do is, oh, you can't see this very well, but there's a nice little spot here where I just enter my value, and boom, it does it for me. So the internet can do so much for us and provide us with so much information. But what about thinking? Can the internet think for us? That's where we run into challenges. The internet can't think for us. So I actually did Google how to think critically, because I thought, well, maybe this is simple, right? We'll just type it in and it'll tell us what to do, because that's what the internet does. But if you type in how to think critically, I don't recommend it. You'll get something like this. How you can learn to think critically. Doesn't that look fun? Well, that's not the only website. There's this one too. Oh, the Foundation for Critical Thinking. Critical thinking in every day. 9 strategies. There's 6 stages there, followed by 9 strategies. Have fun. So, we like to go a different route. I like to think that it's important to get kids to think critically, but not by saying, today we're going to have a lesson on critical thinking, and we're going to start with stage 1. This is what kids say about chess. I like chess because it's fun, it's challenging, and it makes me think. How many of you in here are chess players? And I ask this question and people hesitate to raise their hand. I am not going to challenge you, I promise. So, okay, we've got a couple people who know some chess or a little bit. Okay, great. Chess is a really powerful tool. And so while I was a classroom teacher for years and then I did educational television programming, I went and saw this program. A Rotarian was the executive director at the time and said, hey, come check out this program we're developing and do a story on it for my television show. I'm like, sure, I'm always looking for ideas. So I went out and we went and visited a 2nd grade classroom and I watched them playing chess in this program. And it was quiet like this. Have you ever been in a 2nd grade classroom? They're not quiet. Like these kids were focused, they were thinking. I was like, wow, this is right there, this is interesting. And you could really see them thinking. And so I was kind of definitely interested in what was going on from my educational background. I was very excited about it. I apologize, you're going to need to pull those down. You're all squinting. So a long story short, they offered me a job and I went to work for them, and that was 14 years ago. So I love what I do, being involved in education. So here's why chess works and why it is such a powerful tool in classrooms. First of all, we looked at that classroom, that little 3rd grade classroom, and there was some diversity in there, irrelevant on the chessboard. It doesn't matter when kids sit down to play chess, if they are black or white or polka dotted, if they're a boy or girl, if they are rich or poor, if they're big or small. One of my favorite quotes from a kid, he was little, a little tiny kid, and I thought he was a kindergartner. And he was in the class, I was visiting a school, and I said, what do you like about chess? And he thought for a moment, and he said, on the playground, I'm really small, but on the chessboard, I'm really big. And I love that. I thought, wow, that's profound for a third grader. But really, it's true. Size is irrelevant. So all of those things just levels the playing field. It develops the brain's executive function. And if you don't know what the executive function is, that's okay, no big deal, but it's the part that's kind of up here. And it's where you make your decisions. Back here is the quick fight or flight. And then as you develop your thinking, it comes forward and it's here in the executive domain. And that's something that is really important to develop, and that's where all of our critical thinking skills come from. If you want to learn more about that, Brain Rules by John Medina. He's an excellent brain researcher, and it's a fantastic book, and he's funny, which doesn't necessarily sound like it would go together, but he is. And chess has smart brand association. And what I mean by that is people believe people who play chess are smart. I mean, if you just talk to people, oh yeah, I mean, chess players are smart, and it's just chess is a smart person's game. You might have heard that before.
It is.
Walt is a living example.
I'm gonna
Okay, yeah,
don't
please
want me
do.
to
No,
distract
no, I'm not distracted. Please do that.
Nice.
Feel bad for everybody squinting. So this works in our favor with kids because when kids start playing chess, adults will walk up to them and they'll say, wow, you play chess? In that voice that says, I'm impressed. And the kids sit up a little taller and they say, yeah, I do. Because they know smart people play chess. Now it works against us with adults because adults, including teachers, get real nervous. They're like, oh, it's a smart person's game. I'm not sure. I'm too old. I can't learn. Nonsense. So our specific program that we use is in the classroom, 1 hour a week, and it's cross-curricular. So it was designed to have a lot of connections to math and to reading and writing and history and all of those. Because if you're going to ask a school for an hour of classroom time, it needs to be high value. They don't have time where they're just sitting around going, yeah, we have no idea what to do with the kids. They're trying to already fit, 5 pounds of education into a 3-pound day. Kids are actively engaged. 97% of our teachers say they're highly engaged. And this is something that's pretty unusual in a classroom, to have all your kids interested in something. And I was even surprised to find that when I first started doing this. Like, looking around the room going, they're all participating. The kids that can't sit still are focused. They're sitting still in their classroom or in their chair. And it's really amazing to watch. And it's easy for teachers to implement. That's another must. If you're going to do anything in education, it has to be easy for teachers because they're doing so much. And as a former classroom teacher, I assure you, teachers work very hard, and it is a tough job. It's one of the only jobs that I know of where you get all at the same time in one room and have to work for all of their needs at the same time. Most people, you get your clients kind of one at a time. If you're a financial planner, you get them one at a time. They may have different needs, but you're not trying to address all of them at the exact same time. Doctors, same thing. So a lot of other professions, bankers, you get people to line up and they come up to your teller one at a time. In a classroom, for a teacher, they're all there and you're trying to work with all of them. So anytime you can get them all excited about something, that's huge. Cross-curricular ties, as I said, it enhances the ability to learn other subjects. And we'll go over a couple of examples so you'll see what I mean. Knights Chorale, we're going to do this one here. So I'm going to, this is called demonstration board. And you hang this up, and I'll see if I can actually hang it here. If not, I'll hold it. But this looks pretty sturdy right here. Let's see. Well, it might stay. We might hold it. So, okay, thank you. So who does not know how to play chess and is willing to be a volunteer guinea pig today? I see so many hands. I love it when people just jump up to volunteer. It's awesome. Monica, do you know how to play chess?
No.
Perfect. Come on up.
You just volunteered.
I actually want to hire Monica as a salesperson for me because I am pretty sure she would not let a school say no to her. So yes, you are very quiet and demure, I can tell. So this is a demonstration board and it has little pockets on it. And we are going to play a game called Knight's Corral. Now you said you do not know how to play chess, correct? Do you know what the knight chess piece is or does? This is a knight. He looks like a horse, okay? He's not really a horse. So we try and get kids to call him the knight because he's the knight. I'm gonna let you hold your knight for a minute, okay? These little ones are the pawns, okay? The pawns for this activity, and I'm gonna do it up fairly high so that you can actually see this. Well, we might even hold it up a little bit, but I'm putting them into a corral. Thank you, you're fantastic. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm missing knights, or missing pawns. Where'd my other pawns go? So Monica, the knight, when he moves, he says, hippity, hippity, hop. I truly am missing pawns. How does this manage? I grab, no, we'll go with this color. We're just gonna pretend that these are pawns. I randomly grab a set and it doesn't have the right pieces in it. It was brand new. So your knight, he says hippity hippity hop when he moves. So he moves in an L shape. Hold your fingers up like an L. Everybody else too. One is an L, one is a backwards L. But no matter what shape, which direction you turn it, it's still an L shape, okay? And he can move in any of those directions. So he goes like this. He goes hippity, hippity, and then he makes a right angle turn, hop. So he's an L shape, hippity, hippity, hop. I won't make you jump around the room. We're gonna put him, here's my problem. There we go, I do have the right number. I just wasn't paying attention while I was setting it up. So we put your knight in the middle of a corral of pawns. They're frozen, they're kind of more like fence posts. What I want you to do is move him in an L shape. I want you to say hippity, hippity, hop, and jump him out of the corral. And he can land on their heads. So he can say hippity, hippity, hop, or he can go hippity, hippity, hop. You choose.
Hippity, hippity, hop. Hippity, hippity, hop.
Perfect, okay, you put him in there. So now he's out of the corral. And you have 8 of these pawns, and I'm going to give you 8 moves to capture all of them. You have to capture a pawn on every move. So you need to look and see where is the L shape that will get you to a pawn. We're putting the pressure on her this morning.
Right, because I'm stuck up there now.
So you're stuck up here, but I'll help you with hippity, hippity, hop. So he can do that. There's his L shape, and he took out that pawn.
Had I taken that one out earlier when I went back and...
No, you have to land on it.
Okay.
You have to land on them. So find. So he has to go hippity, hippity, hop.
Why can't I go hippity, hippity, hop?
Because that's a square, that's not an L.
Oh,
He needs to go in an L shape.
I need to go to
Hippity,
hippity,
hippity, hop.
hop.
You can also go 1 and then 2. That's an L also. So either way, it'll get you there. All right.
Now I've got to go back there.
Think L shape.
I am.
There you go. There's your L.
Hippity, hippity, hop.
There you go. You got him.
There it is. Now I need to get to the L.
And this is great. This is exactly what the kids will do. They put up their fingers because that helps with the visual. And visualization is actually a skill that we learn.
Hippity.
Yep, you got it right there.
Hippity, hop. Okay, now I have to go
Now,
again.
the interesting thing is at this point, I'm gonna have you step off so they can see this a little bit better. This is where people will start to get confused, like, oh, it's impossible, I can't do it. Because when you only have a few pieces, it looks harder. And for the sake of time, I'm gonna save you, and I'm gonna help you out here, okay? And we're gonna go hippity hippity hop,
Okay,
okay? And then we're gonna go hippity hippity hop.
okay.
We'll pick up that one, and we'll go hippity hippity hop, and then we'll go hippity hippity hop. You got them all.
So easy. Thank you.
Thank you, you can set that down, thank you. So, good job, Monica.
Monica.
The idea behind that exercise is several. You're working on multiple critical thinking skills as you do that activity. It's pattern recognition, it's visualization, it's thinking ahead. All of those things come into play. So we're not sitting down telling kids, today we're going to work on pattern recognition. It's not something you have to tell them, it's something they do and they love it. The other thing about this activity is, as long as you move in an L shape, you can't lose. So that's called success being built in. And that's really important because we want kids to feel successful. They look at that, thank you. They look at that, and you probably looked at that, and some of you thought, and I'm sure Monica thought when she first looked at it, oh, you know, I don't think I'll be able to do this. That looks really hard. Well, what you don't know is success is built in. Hopefully, when a child is now in math, and they're taking on a problem that they think looks hard, maybe they'll remember that they did something hard in chess and were successful, and they'll have a different approach to taking it on. Chess problems. This is one of my favorites. This always makes me chuckle because the kids will ask teachers, can we do more chess problems? This is a chess problem. Solve the following equation. How many R plus how many P equals Q? Now, if you're not a chess player, you don't know what these are necessarily, but R stands for rook, and the rook is 5 points. So you're using a letter to represent a number, but you actually know what the letter is. So it's not quite like algebra when you have X plus Y equals Z, but you still have to solve it. So the rook is 5 points, the pawn is 1 point, and the queen is 9 points. So how many rooks plus how many pawns equal the queen? Well, the answer would be 1R plus 4P equals Q. That's an algebraic equation. And kids love these. They ask for more, yes?
Or alternatively, 0 rooks plus 9 pawns equals queen.
There you go, okay, excellent.
Well, 2 rooks and minus 1 pawn.
Well, okay, it's funny that you do that because the follow-up exercise to this is who equals the queen? And the kids have to come up on their own with as many combinations of chess pieces as they can that equal the queen. So there are lots of them, and especially if you go into multiplication and you can say, 3n equals q, which is 3 knights, or which is 3 times 3. So in the very simplest of forms, this is a math equation, 5 plus 4 equals 9. But we've changed it entirely and made it much higher level thinking. And when the kids later on go to do algebra, they're not as intimidated because they've been doing number letter problems like this. STEM is a big topic right now in education. There's always different things that kind of come and go, and right now the talk is STEM. We've got to get kids prepared for STEM careers and get more girls especially driven towards STEM careers. And I don't disagree, that's really important. The thing is, STEM skills are really skills that everybody should have. They are certainly needed for if you're going to be in technology or a scientist or something that is specifically STEM related, but problem solving, creative thinking, persistence, attention to detail, risk management, all of those are things that we probably use regardless of our career. First Move teaches all of these things. When you're on the chessboard, you read risk management. Risk management? You're absolutely doing that as you're evaluating, looking at, am I willing to risk this piece? Is this a good capture? I'm gonna get captured back. That's risk management. Ability to reason, innovative thinking. What if I tried this approach on the chessboard? So all of these things that are, quote, STEM skills are general thinking skills that we all should have. So for those of you who are data-driven, our kids do score higher. This was a study done in Texas using the Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills. It's their standardized test score there. And they had first move in this district, in Spring ISD, in half of their schools, a little more than half. The very first year they implemented, they went district-wide. When those kids went to high school in 9th grade and in 10th grade, they looked at the kids that had first move as 2nd and 3rd graders and the kids that didn't. That was the only qualifier to put them into 2 groups. The first move group scored higher in both math and reading tests. And as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty significant. 85 versus 75, 89 versus 80, 89, 84, and 83, 74. I will be the first to admit to a group like this that that was the only factor they looked at. And who knows? I mean, I'm very skeptical of statistics, so I'm not going to necessarily, I don't tout this one in the press, but the school does, and the district does, and if they believe it, I'm all for it too. And I certainly think that first move does play a big role in the kids' success. But it could also be things like those first schools might have had teachers that were more forward-thinking or principals. So there's a lot of factors that can be involved. Bless you. Why it's powerful? First of all, in math, unfortunately, you give a kid a math worksheet with a bunch of red on it and say, here, and they look at it. They don't look up at you and go, can I have another math worksheet? Whether they do it out loud or just in their mind, a lot of times kids go, I hate math, I'm bad at math. And that's really unfortunate. For some reason with chess, they will lose, and the first thing they do is say, do you want to play again? And they set up the board and they play again. It's kind of like video games. If any of you have young kids or teenagers, my son is 15, if I would let him, he would play video games 24/7. His character dies, he doesn't stomp his foot and go, I'm never playing video games again. He goes right back and he drinks a magic potion or he pays some rubies or whatever and he gets another life and he starts going again. And he'll just keep doing that. And so chess is a lot more like video games than it is like math. Success is built in. I gave you an example of that, how we try to have activities where they will be able to solve it as long as they follow the directions properly. Students realize they can take on something challenging and be successful. That is a huge thing for kids. Feeling successful is really important. And it replaces luck with deliberate decision making. It is not often that as a child, say a 2nd, 3rd, 4th grader, because that's the age I work with primarily, that you are given control, that you're the one who gets to make the decisions. Usually parents are telling you what to do, teachers are telling you what to do. You're being told what to do. But now you have these chess pieces. They're in your control, your command, and you have to decide what to do with them to hopefully keep them on the board and not be captured. Chess is also challenging because it requires so many different ways of thinking. You have to think offensively, you have to think defensively, and you have to think about what your opponent is doing offensively and defensively. It's like 4 different modes of thinking. So it's a real challenge. So this is the question I get. Well, what about old people? And don't anyone take offense to that. People ask me that all the time because, oh, you work with kids, Wendy. Well, what about old people? What about me? I never learned. And honestly, when I was a kid, my dad taught my brother, but he didn't teach me how to play chess. Because it was kind of for boys, which is not true at all. In fact, our girls at the elementary ages, I would say the girls are better players than the boys. Because, and I haven't done research, but this is my own theory, and that is girls do tend to be a little bit more protective, and they play a little bit slower. They put a little bit more thought in. The boys just want to get out there and capture pieces, and suddenly they lose to a girl. And then that makes them slow down. It's kind of funny. But First Move was designed for classroom use, targeting 2nd through 4th graders. It maps to Common Core standards for that age group, which is really important if we're going to work with schools and be in the classroom. It's $225 a year for a classroom, and that's for all their materials. The actual program is initially taught online. It's an online platform where the teacher logs in. They have a smart board, so they can go up and the kids can just come right up to the board and they can put their finger on it and move things and drag them. If you've not seen that, that's really cool. They didn't have it probably when any of us were in school. But it's integrated, so it's really easy for teachers to use, and the kids love it. The activities are built in, and the nice thing is the computer knows the answers. So the teacher, who probably doesn't know how to play chess and is a little bit nervous about this, they don't have to know them all because the computer will tell them if they're right or wrong. So anyway, that's what comes in a classroom chess set, and it's $35 a year after that. That's just their maintenance of ongoing. The individual version is free, so that's where the what about old people comes in. The individual version is free. If you are inspired and say, I've always wanted to learn chess, I'm gonna go do it, I've got a solution for you. You can use First Move. It will treat you like you were a 2nd or 3rd grader, but you can do it nonetheless. So if you want to register, you go to our website, firstmovechess.org, and you can't see this very well, but the login button is right up here in the corner. You click login, and then it'll come to a login page, which you don't have a login yet, so you need to register. So I circled down there register, so just click on register. You start entering your information. Where it says teacher, there's a little teeny tiny arrow, and if you click the arrow, you can choose individual. Otherwise, it wants to know your school and your district and all this other information. So once you click individual, then it will just ask name, email, password, which you create. And then you click register. And this is what it looks like, or part of what, this is a screenshot of one of them. And I can never get the chess lady smiling in my screenshots, but at least her eyes are open here. So it's an animated character that teaches the class. And so the chess lady will go through and tell the kids about the coordinate system and how there are files and there are ranks, which are the vertical and horizontal lines, good math vocabulary, and where a file and a rank intersect, that's a coordinate. So we go through things like that. That's Magnus the dragon. He pops in, and Magnus doesn't talk. He has thought bubbles, and he will just give hints and stuff, telling the kids either they did a great job, he'll say, nice job, and if you log in, it will actually tell you you did a nice job, so by your username. And, oh, you can't actually, no, you can barely see this. So this is an example. Drag the coordinates to the correct square. So the chess lady told them. Magnus pops in to give them again the directions. And there are coordinates on the side there, and so there's C2, I circled it in yellow. And so you would drag, you would either, if you're doing it on a computer, you use your mouse and do it, or on a smartboard, you would drag it over, and you would put it on the C2 square. So you're dragging the coordinates to their correct square after the lesson on coordinates. So this is the type of activity that's built in for the kids, or for the adults. And then at the end of every lesson, there is assessment. And so it'll ask you things like, how many squares could a knight reach from the middle of a completely open board? Anyone know?
12.
Anyone else?
8.
8.
I mean, 8.
That was,
Yes.
the test, that was the test that Monica did.
You were thinking of 12 minus 4 equals 8.
That's algebra.
Yes, exactly. So it's 8, and the kids would know that because we would have covered it, obviously, but the knight can move in an L shape, so he's very limited in where he can go, so he can only go to 8 squares. But at the end of every lesson, there's 10 questions. We did, this is actually a new version for us, this online platform, And so we had some of our existing schools doing beta testing for us. And one of the things that the teachers asked, they had the kids, it was very formal, they had to fill out forms, they were official beta testers. It was, what could be changed or improved? And this one child put, less questions at the end. I'm like, it's only 10. I'm like, sorry, little dude, you're out of luck. You're getting 10. The outcomes that we're after and that we see, stronger critical creative thinking skills, or critical thinking skills, continue their creative thinking skills. Little kids are creative thinkers. We want them to stay creative thinkers. We want to be creative thinkers as adults. And so we want to keep that going. Improved classroom behavior, good sportsmanship is very important. The kids learn to shake hands before and after they play games. And enjoy learning. Learning should be fun. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them, and we can always play some more chess games too. Yes?
So what has been some of the challenges you've had in implementing this? It seems to be a pretty easy thing to implement. I mean,
It is easy. And once teachers start, they don't have a problem. The hurdles with schools are, we don't have time. We already have too much going on. Our teachers are overwhelmed. So that's a big one. And that's probably our biggest one. And it used to be the cost. It used to be $650. We just brought it down by moving to an online model. We were actually able to bring down the cost. And so it's $225. So I've been this summer working with the $225 price range, and that is it's doable for schools. So that's good. Some of them still will go out and write grants or try and get scholarship. They'll find money somewhere. The Rotary Club of Kent actually supports First Move in a couple of their schools. They started with one last year. They added another one. They're like, we're just going to add one each year. Slow going, but I love it. And that's been really fun. But time is the biggest one. Once they start, they love it. Yes?
You mentioned that at a young age, girls are at least as good as, if not better than the boys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware of any woman who's been one in the top number of players in the world as a chess player. Oh, okay. Are there top women players in the world?
Yes, there are.
There are top women players in the world, and Judith Polgar, the Polgar sisters, there's 3 of them, they are the top female players. Judith still plays, her sisters do not anymore. We are seeing more and more younger women coming up. Most of them, though, are not in America. Ho Yifan from China is a top female player right now, and she is contending right up there with the men. But if you look at rankings, still at the top, it is men.
Can you attribute that to any, for any reason?
I can't, I could guess some reasons, but I can't really tell you anything definitive. I think part of it is that teaching women to play chess or girls to play chess is a newer thing.
Okay.
And so if you're looking at anyone in my age group, you're not going to find a lot of you'll find few strong women chess players. The other thing is chess isn't exactly a field where you make a lot of money. So people don't go into it for that. And you have to practice a lot. You have to be able to play and travel and go to tournaments and things like that. So, other questions?
I would recommend, and I got to meet this person. There's a Disney movie called The Queen of Kotway. Yeah. And she spoke at a group in Bellevue. And it's about this very poor African girl who started taking chess and then was on the world stage now. And she actually goes to Seattle University.
Northwest University.
What is it?
Northwest. Yeah. Her name's Fiona Mutesi. She's actually a friend of mine. I know her. She's from Uganda. And it is a phenomenal story. I would read the book. It's also a Disney movie. The book, it's one of those where you can only read a few pages at a time at parts because it's so horrific, the conditions that she's living in the slums of Kotway, which is some of the dirtiest slums of the world. And she is starving. And she follows her brother because she knows he's eating every day something. And he's going to a church where they have a program that if you will learn to play chess, you get a cup of porridge. And she'll say, I didn't care what they wanted me to learn. I was starving. Well, it turns out she's a chess prodigy. She becomes the Ugandan women's chess champion. She takes an airplane and goes to the chess Olympiad in Russia. And I mean, it's a phenomenal story. And yes, now she is studying at Northwestern, Winnie Kirkland.
It's Northwest.
I always mix up the
Northwest
name,
College, yeah.
so, yeah.
She had a full scholarship?
Yes, she does have a scholarship. Yeah, it's a great story and really amazing. She's an outstanding young lady. There's quite a few stories out like that, you know, in movies too.
I just think there's a great program. I just love it.
Thank you.
I was a teacher for 6 years, and I was also a chess team coach for those years. It was fun. It was just so much fun. I don't think we won a single tournament, but the kids just loved it, you know. And I'd have 5 or 6 kids in my room after school at the end of the day, and they'd all be playing chess, and I'd be playing, you know, like 2 or 3 games of speed chess. And it was great. They just loved it,
Yeah.
even though they kept losing.
That's what I told you.
loved
They
it.
will keep playing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Another thing that's really cool is if you haven't seen it before, you can always Google and watch it. Blindfolded chess. Magnus Carlsen is the world chess champion right now. He is 28 right now. He became world chess champion when he was 23, 24. So anyway, he's from Norway. He's a big deal because he's the first Western world chess champion in forever, since Bobby Fischer. And he's also interesting because he's really cool and hip. He even modeled for a while for G-Star Raw Jeans. And so he's kind of changing the face of chess a little bit. There's a group of people who are trying to change the image that chess has, that it is for, you know, old white guys. That's not true. So Magnus helps with that. He is white, but he still helps with it. Fastest growing chess population is in India and China. Kids there are learning it at an early age and becoming very good.
Well, for years, the Soviet Union required chess in elementary school. It was a required subject.
Yep.
So, hey, I wonder why Russians were such good chess players.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Armenia does that right now. I'm not looking at a clock, so you tell me.
All right, any other questions for Wendi? Wendi, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Oh, here, now, can I just pull this out?
Oh, yes, I want everybody to see
Okay.
this USB drive.
So, this is my USB drive. It's a chess piece that has
Yep.
the little
Very
USB
cool.
drive in it. We give these to our teachers with training materials and other stuff on them so that they won't lose it. The only thing you have to do is keep it from the kids. So,
All right, look forward to seeing everybody next week.